This keeps 99% of mediums energetically blocked, and it's not what you think. By the end of this masterclass, you will be brimming with newfound energetic freedom to let spirit flow through you in a remarkably more uninhibited way. Now, you've probably heard me and other mediums talk about the reasons you might feel temporarily blocked from connecting with spirit. Things like being at a low or misaligned vibration, unprocessed grief or emotional heaviness, ego getting in the way, trying too hard, forcing the connection, not meditating or sitting in the power consistently, spiritual fatigue or burnout, the energy of your environment, not grounding yourself before reading, an attachment to a specific outcome, negative self-talk, physical factors, poor sleep, illness, low energy, not setting a clear intention before connecting, carrying energetic residue from a previous difficult reading. Those are all real, those are all legit, they're all worth addressing. But today, we're diving into that thing that has significant power over all mediums at one time or another, and often, a lot of the time. It's the fear of hearing no and being called a fraud. If there's one thing that's worked really well for me in life, it's welcoming my fears by staring them in the face. It's wild how quickly they lose their power when they're pulled out of the shadows and into the light. That includes the fear of hearing no. And here's what makes that fear so particularly dangerous for mediums. It doesn't just shake your confidence, it lowers your vibration. And a lower vibration makes it genuinely hard to connect with spirit. The fear itself becomes the block. So let's dismantle it completely. Because once you understand what's really happening when you hear no, its power to take you out of the game weakens considerably, and sometimes vanishes altogether. The biggest mistake that I see mediums make when they hear no is that they instantly assume it means they're wrong, that they're disconnected, that they're not good enough. And of course, that reaction is rooted in, can you guess? Confidence. A lack of confidence and a lack of trust in spirit. But here's the silver lining. The tendency to assume we're wrong leads us to ask a better question. What does it actually mean when we hear no from our sitter? Having a better understanding of the slew of possibilities is so empowering, and it helps us as mediums shift our focus back to where it should be, our connection with spirit. So let's talk about what's actually happening when you hear no. Because once you understand this, you're gonna realize that a no rarely comes for the reasons you think. And it's definitely not proof that you're disconnected from spirit. There are actually 6 distinct reasons that a sitter says no. And most of them have nothing at all to do with your connection to spirit. Number 1, our interpretation of the spiritual impression is off. Some clairs require more interpretation than others. For example, clairvoyance can require much more interpretation than clairaudience. If you see a picture of a plane, there are a lot of different things this image could stand for. If you hear dad, that's pretty straightforward. Because spiritual impressions are one single thought at a time, it's easy for a medium, especially one who's in the beginning stages of development and getting impressions more slowly, to jump to interpretation before receiving the next impression that may bring more clarity, or leaning into the impression to see if they sense the meaning that accompanies it. Even for mediums who have been practicing for some time, it's incredibly easy to interpret an impression that is real and legit in an incorrect way, to which the sitter will then say, no. For example, I remember a reading I gave where the spirit was giving a funny description of being a muscle man. When I shared this with the sitter, they crinkled their face with confusion and said, no. As I leaned into the impression more, I realized that the spirit had gotten extremely slender before passing, especially in their arms. And they were never a muscular person to begin with. They were, however, a jokester with a great sense of humor. And they were joking that on the other side, they had muscles. It was a funny way to show they were happy, they were healed, they were at peace. Not only that, but the sitter confirmed that this is the same joke they told when they were living. Number 2, the sitter doesn't remember, also known as sitter amnesia. If you've given lots of readings, you know that sitters usually listen very intently to what a medium is bringing through. They don't want to miss anything, and every word we say holds great meaning for them. Often, they might be nervous about who might come through or not, and what they may or may not say. This, accompanied with their level of focus on what we're saying, doesn't always leave them with the full capacity to remember certain people, events, or details. I've seen it happen a million times, and it's happened to me as a sitter too. During a reading, I kept getting the name Jerry over and over again. The spirit was telling me this was someone who was close to them, and it felt to me as if Jerry had passed. The sitter continued to be confused and say no. We couldn't figure it out during the reading, but my sitter emailed me a week later to let me know that Jerry was a close friend of their father's who had passed away. She'd forgotten about this friend of her father's, but we finally understood that her father, in spirit, was letting us know that he was reunited with his close friend, Jerry. Number 3, the sitter's mind is focused on a different person, spirit, time, or event. Before I give a reading, I always educate my sitter briefly about how mediumship works and what they can do during the reading to have the best experience possible. I ask them to do one of the most difficult things as a sitter, to let go of their expectations of who might show up and what they might say. This can help them to keep an open mind and not be so focused on a particular spirit, person, time, or event. Still, this tight focus of the sitter can happen and sometimes requires more work from the medium so that the sitter can make the connection. During the class that I was teaching, a student's first piece of evidence about a spirit that they were bringing through was that this spirit was the sitter's cousin. The sitter confirmed they did have a cousin in spirit, but as my student described the character and personality of this cousin in spirit, the sitter started saying no and continued to say no. This student told me they felt stuck, so I linked into the spirit she was connecting with. I could tell she was with a woman in spirit who had passed before her time and that she would be recognizable to the sitter. But the spirit didn't feel like a family relation to me. I told her to go back to the sitter and recap the personality and character traits that felt the most significant to her as the medium, asking her sitter if these pieces of evidence could apply to another past loved one of hers that wasn't her cousin. Sure enough, the no's turned to yeses, and the sitter confirmed that the spirit was not her cousin, but a close friend of hers. Sometimes a single piece of evidence that isn't quite right can close our sitter's mind off to finding the evidence that we're bringing through as recognizable. There was another time in class where a student was bringing through a man who was a close friend of the sitter. The student was sharing that the spirit was seen leaving his house and returning on the same day that he died. The sitter kept saying no. My student felt stuck, so I jumped in to share that I was understanding that the spirit wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about his awareness of the sitter leaving her house to see him before he passed, and then returning that evening. The sitter confirmed that this was significant to her and that it made sense. My student was getting a real and legit impression from spirit. She was just attributing it to the spirit instead of the sitter. Number 4, the sitter is unaware of the evidence we're bringing through. Spirits like to bring new awareness and understanding to the sitter to provide healing and peace. But sometimes the information they bring through to provide this new perspective isn't always information that the sitter is aware of. I gave a reading where the grandparents of my sitter came through. As I described their personalities and the details about an accident that her living mother had gone through, which her grandparents were referencing, I was hearing yes. When her grandparents shifted to speaking in detail about her parents' relationship and the effect that their relationship had on my sitter growing up, I started to hear all no's. I felt confident with what I was getting, but for the remainder of the reading, I didn't get a single yes from my sitter. Usually I'll end a reading if for some reason I can't make a connection or bring through evidence that connects after 10 or 15 minutes tops. But because we were further into the reading before the no's began, I went for it and I finished the entire reading. I could tell my sitter was emotional and extremely disappointed by the end, and I felt terrible. It didn't feel like refunding or rescheduling was the right thing to do, strangely enough, since this is often my response when every once in a while it hits the fan. Instead, what I heard from Spirit was to check in with her in 48 hours. I said to her, I understand you're really disappointed, and I'm so sorry. I'm not quite clear what happened during the reading, but do I have permission to check in with you in 48 hours, and we'll decide what's best at that point. She was upset, but she graciously agreed. 48 hours later, I was about to reach out to her over email when I noticed a message from her on Instagram that said, "You were right about everything, I just didn't know you were." It turns out after the reading, she shared what had come through with her parents. They confirmed everything I had said and filled her in on a whole slew of relationship dynamics that she had no clue about. I had another reading that I was hesitant to do because it was for a friend of mine, and I often don't read for friends and family. The circumstances were such that I felt really compelled to do the reading and that it would go well. At one point, the spirit that I was bringing through for this friend showed me a gold chunky ring. I told my sitter that it reminded me of a class ring, but it wasn't. He looked confused and said, "I'm not sure. Maybe, but I don't think so." I could see the ring clearly, so I told him to check it out if he could. He said he would, but didn't seem convinced. A day later, I received this text from him. The spirit I had brought through was a dear friend of his. He had called this past friend's daughter and asked her if she knew anything about the ring that I mentioned. She burst into tears, telling him that she had found her father's ring among his things 3 weeks prior and had been wearing the ring every day since. Then she texted him a picture of the ring, which he sent to me. I recognized it instantly. Number 5, the information we're bringing through is related to something that hasn't taken place yet. In a mediumistic reading, spirits may communicate about things that haven't taken place yet. Sometimes this information is still easily recognizable to the sitter. For example, maybe the spirit references a move that is coming in the future that the sitter knows about, or a trip that the sitter is planning to take, or even a book they've been thinking about writing but haven't written yet. Other times, something that is a future reference will not be understood. The same woman who confirmed the personality of her grandparents and the accident her mother had said no when I mentioned a brass pin that her grandmother was saying existed. It wasn't for another month after she told me I was accurate about all of the other details she hadn't understood about her parents' relationship that she shared a picture of the brass pin I had mentioned as well. The message said, "I found it. Now what do I do with it?" I told her that it was up to her, but that spirit loves to share items or information with us that we discover later as proof that life survives the death of the physical body. She was thrilled and I'm sure held on to that pin as a treasure. I gave a psychic reading for a different client, and although I rarely make predictions, I was getting a strong impression that her eldest daughter would be giving birth to my sitter's first granddaughter in 2 years' time. 14 months later, she shared that her daughter was newly pregnant, which lined up quite precisely with the timeline that I had given her. Number 6. We are bringing through a spirit who isn't recognizable or connected to our sitter, or the sitter doesn't know enough about the spirit. Some of the most frustrating readings can happen when the spirit who pushes through is using your sitter as a messenger to someone living that the sitter has access to. Even if your sitter doesn't know a lot about the past spirit, there are all kinds of situations where a sitter may not have a lot of information about a spirit because they were just an acquaintance, didn't spend much time with them, or passed before the sitter was born or old enough to recall many details. I remember giving a reading for a woman whose living brother's friend's past mother came through. Yeah, take a second to work that one out. So a woman had a living brother whose friend's mom had passed away. She thought she might know a little bit about the living friend of the brother, but having any information about her brother's friend's mom was not the case. It was a rough reading, but I was very confident in what I was getting. The trickiest thing is that she never got back to me about relaying this message. But I share the story anyway because I'm not the first medium who has had this experience. There was another time that I brought through a great-grandmother during a group reading. As I was describing this great-grandmother, no hands were going up to claim the spirit. I then asked the spirit to give me evidence that would make her recognizable to a sitter. She mentioned a picture that the sitter had, described her long gray hair being pulled back in a low bun, and had me make this really funny pouting expression. This pouting expression gave the feeling of someone who meant business and was physically and emotionally quite strong and overbearing. Right away, a hand went up. At the end of the reading, the sitter told me she knew very little about her great-grandmother, but that she had the exact picture I described and had heard stories of her tough, overbearing nature and the fact that she was physically strong as an ox. So when you add all of that up, misinterpretation, sitter amnesia, misplaced focus, information they simply don't have yet, future events, spirits they don't recognize, how many of those no's were actually about your connection to spirit? Probably far fewer than you thought, which means your confidence has been taking a hit when at least 50% of the time or more, there's likely another explanation. And it could be that you were right. The fear of hearing no and being called a fraud, that is the block. But now there's something here that wasn't before. The truth about what no actually means. Which means the next time it comes up in a reading, there's no reason to shrink, no reason to spiral. Lean in, stay in the game, and trust what spirit is giving. Release the fear. No one reading can make or break your ability to develop as a fantastic medium. If it doesn't work out, give a refund or reschedule if the person wasn't miserable to read for. Your connection to spirit is stronger than any single no. And if you want support walking this path, I'd love to have you in my mediumship development circle. The link is in the description below. If this video resonated with you, please share it with someone else who is on this journey, and drop it in the comments below what comes up for you when you hear no during a reading.